Welcome back to Cloud Imperium's Santa Monica offices. Tonight, we reveal the 2 teams you chose to save. Plus, we've got a chance for 50 of you, yes 50, to join us live to see our winner crowned at the end. This is the Next Great Starship. Hi, I'm Sandy Gardner. Welcome to episode 8 of the Next Great Starship. The concept art phase is over and the judges have selected their top 10 teams. After the judges gave their feedback, the teams had a chance to update their concept designs. Let's take a look.
One bit Amoeba here, and I will show you an update on my gunship. The previous version had a very simple missile launcher, which was just a pod. I exchanged it with this kind of revolver mechanism launcher. Biggest challenge were the thrusters. They didn't look well and didn't work well either, so I restarted from the scratch and decided to go with this one. Here are some quick animations for all necessary flight maneuvers to make sure that the thrusters have enough space to rotate correctly. All thrusters work bidirectional, so it's not necessary to turn around 180 degrees to give thrust in the opposite direction. My first paint over ever and a new name and manufacturer for the ship. I hope you enjoyed it. I for sure had a lot of fun to create it.
I figured we'd make an update on how we believe the thrusters will work on our gunship, the Redeemer. The front maneuvering thrusters are here, on top and right below the cockpit. The main thrusters are embedded in the big wing nacelles. Here's pitch. The bottom thrusters fire at the back and the front, angling the ship up. And reverse, obviously, angling the ship back down. Here's how the ship yaws. It fires the thrusters on one side and uses the maneuvering thrusters in the front to steer effectively. This is also the part that we're not entirely sure about if it'll work in engine, because this whole system depends on tank steering. And we're not entirely sure if that's 100% doable within Star Citizen. That's why we've also come up with 2 small alternatives to make yaw more feasible. Here's option 1. We add a retro thruster on one side, and here's option 2, where we rotate the whole engine body to provide a more sideways thrust. And to finish up, here's VTOL.
Let me introduce you to the Guardian AX2, manufactured by Aegis Dynamics. So this new design incorporates all of the core features of the original design. The overall feel of the ship has more of an Aegis Dynamic look to it. I've addressed many of the points brought up by the judges, starting with the size of the wings in comparison to the main body of the ship. I've rebalanced it so that it doesn't look like the wings are too small for the amount of weight that they're carrying. I've changed the profile of the ship so that it no longer looks like it's drooping down. It's no longer sort of a hunchback ship. One of the other big changes is the entire front end of the ship. So the cockpit area was completely redesigned. The cockpit sits pretty high on the ship at this point, and the pilot is able to see clearly around almost the entire perimeter of the ship. You'll notice here that all of the weapons are able to hide inside of the ship, the Class 3s, the Class 4s, and the Class 5s. I've also paid a lot more attention to the thruster placement. My original design had some pretty serious technical issues with its ability to rotate in 2 different directions. it didn't quite fit properly on the ship, and so I redesigned it completely, and I incorporated the maneuvering thruster technology, where it's gimbaled at a specific point at the very base of the nozzle of the thruster, and added that to all 4 of the TR3s, so each one of them can now rotate independently in place. The Guardian AX2 as manufactured by Aegis Dynamics.
First off, we'd like to thank the judges for the insightful feedback of our ship, the AX-114 Boomslang. Because of the positive response we received on our last round, we've made only minor final adjustments to the general design, while at the same time fleshing out our ship's functionality. We chose Origin Jumpworks for our ship manufacturer since our own design philosophy of function and form matched theirs. Their strict anti-piracy policy would also explain their production of a gunship tailored specifically for the needs of mercenaries and bounty hunters. The first thing we did for this phase was tighten the ship's silhouette, since we realized that the ship was still too big for the 15-ton maximum cargo capacity. We slimmed down the hull and redesigned the wings to give it a sleeker and more aggressive profile. As for the pilot's field of view, here's a rough wide-angle approximation of the view from inside the pilot's seat. The ship's canopy provides excellent visibility for both the pilot and crew members seated in jump seats on the upper deck. Here is our final design for the AX-114 Boomslang mercenary gunship by Origin Jumpworks, concepted by Icarus. We strive to make our final rendering as realistic as possible. As before, we hope that the function of the different ship parts is evident at a glance. The weapons, with the exception of the pilot-controlled Class 4 turret, can be retracted into the hull. The heavily armored AX-115R Bushmaster variant is a later version developed independently by the UEE Navy. Thank you for the opportunity to be included in this competition, and this is truly the ship we want to fly, and we hope to get that chance. Thank you.
Greetings, citizens. Fuzzy Modem here. Last time the judges liked my backstory and the idea of a sword and shield, but they weren't sold on my executioner presentation. Because the judges weren't really taken with my design, I've come up with 3 different versions for them to choose from. The first is by Robert Space Industries. I've smoothed it over and I've removed the rivets, but moving forward I'd make it look more like the Aurora and the Constellation. The second is by Consolidated Outland, inspired by the work we've seen thus far on the Mustang. It's the most asymmetrical of the 3 options, and instead of traditional turrets, the weapons are built into the shield. The third design is by Kruger Intergalactic. It abandons the asymmetry in favor of a second shield on the other side. I can move forward in one of these directions, or I can mix and match parts between them. I look forward to the next round of critique.
Hello fellow citizens. Welcome to Team Infinite Shoe Monkey's Concept Progress Report. After receiving feedback from the judges, we started improving our hull design. We tried to achieve an overall bulkier look. In several steps we reduced a bit of length, we also increased the height by roughly 0.3 meters and especially made the nose more bulky. The cockpit shape was changed after trying different variants. We also tried adding some thicker armor at different spots, giving it more detail and adding some substance. And finally, we started adding some rough texture to the ship. We also went ahead and improved the turret access and deployment from the standby position. The turret position and field of view for the Class 4 hardpoint was added as well. And we also had some ideas for the Class 3 missile racks, which in our case developed into a missile revolver, holding more missiles while keeping a low profile as it wouldn't have to deploy completely. To give you an idea of how the ship would land and also how the VTOL system would work, we added this short landing sequence.
Alright, so for comparison, here is the original 3/4 paint over the ship, and there are actually thrusters here, but if none of the judges saw it, maybe it wasn't obvious enough, so we updated that. Here's the reverse view of the ship with the new RCS thrusters. So you can see it's a better angle to show off how the new thrusters change the silhouette of the ship. We moved the variable thrust vanes into the middle so that the copper colored vane nozzles on the outside can do a different purpose. So we also trimmed the front of the drop pod so that the drop pod can be picked up easier, because in the older design there was really no easy way for the gunship to pick it up after it's been dropped off. You can see the turret deployment, the docking ladder and the door deployment, and the docking ramp being deployed. So you'll see that back to back in the video. And next is the intakes on the engine animating for atmospheric flight, the open and close like that, to become air breathing and non-air breathing. So next is the upper engine afterburners that you can see opening very soon, and these actually function with the lower afterburners, but the lower engines mostly just use an effect for that. So that in the animation. Next is you'll see the entire landing sequence of the ship, where the engine pivot into VTOL position and the nozzles help that. The lower engine pivots some more, and the rear engine also pivot with the thrust reverse kicking in and the landing gear popping out. So speaking of landing gear, here's some close-up of the landing gear with some first pass positioned on the hydraulics. We're looking for, and I think that's about it.
So here's the newly dubbed AX-14 Silverback by Drake Interplanetary. After hearing Mark's nickname, the Silverback, it just fits so well with the ship, so we went with it. Also, we went with Drake as well, because Chris liked it, and we were also leaning in that direction. Thanks, guys. Most of this is in 3D, this update, because we're refining the model and working on several things. These are some ortho views. You'll see we have multi-man turrets on the top and bottom, providing coverage at least 360 horizontal and 180 vertically on the top and bottom of the ship. We have two modes of flight for this. We have a cruise mode and a battle attack mode. The wings flip back, puts it in cruise mode, provides faster forward speed while sacrificing some lateral movement. We've also redesigned the thrusters a bit to balance out the frame and provide some more articulation. The wings provide atmosphere control surfaces used to help you vector in your descent in an atmosphere, helpful with landing as well. We also put some interior shots in here for you. These sort of look like what we're going to have, but may change up. We also have a pretty complex missile loading system that goes inside the ship, so you can see the missiles load, and also they get taken up into the wing. So guys, thanks for watching. That's our update.
We certainly can puff our cheeks a bit, as we handled most of them rather neatly. Whilst not the true final choice for the concept, this is our current visualization, with basic details, color scheme and overall silhouette intact. We are still working on the turrets and weaponry. We are aiming at making them feel modular and adaptable, and we hope it will turn out alright. Our workflow is specific in that both our concept artists and 3D artists are working hand in hand and creating a model at the same time. One makes a part-by-part concept is benching itself on the concept you are seeing, one on the finished ready for integration model. Now it's just a matter of time. Our concept artist Karanak is known for incredibly detailed and clean concepts, but those take time. Finding the right way to combine our workflow, well, I certainly hope we'll manage that. Again, I'm Alexander Lord Kipanidze, leader of the Team Troika, and I hope you enjoyed this bit of info. See you, Star Citizens!
Ship is able to concentrate fire of all turrets on the ground or on the top side of the ship we are going to board. There are just minimal blind zones. Pilot is able to cover marines during attack or retreat. Gunners have their own cabins, there are sleeping pods for everyone, pilot, gunners, up to 6 marines, and in civil variants there will be space for pilot cabin as well.
Earlier this week, I got a chance to check in with the 10 teams and get their reaction to moving on to the modeling phase.
Oh, sorry. Hold on, I need to turn my sound up.
No, you're good. You're sounding good. Oh, well, not anymore.
Hi, Sandy. It's Sean, Team Cryo here, all the way from Alaska. How's the connection today?
That's not bad. You do look like Fuzzy Moto still.
Okay, say something.
Hello.
Hi, Sandy. I'm Alexander from Team Troika.
Hey Sandy, this is Elwin Batchelor from Skyguard Fabrications.
Hey Sandy, Brian from Shard Collective.
Hi Sandy, it's Paul from Team 4 Horsemen.
Hi Sandy, it's Jan from 1-Bit Amoeba.
Hi Sandy, this is Infinite Shoe Monkey.
Hi Sandy, we're Team Human Pan.
Hi Sandy, and it's Vladimir with Team True.
Hi Sandy, Phalanx from Try.
Congratulations, Team Shimapan, on making it through to the next round.
Thanks.
Congratulations, Infinite Shui Monkey.
Thanks also.
So how are you feeling in the competition?
I'm feeling pretty good.
I just think we had some good luck here. Hopefully we can keep it going.
I had a great response from the whole community and from the judges as well, so I'm feeling pretty stoked and pretty motivated.
Well, first of all, we are a bit flattered by making it so far. I think being in the top 12 out of 270 something is really great considering the level of competition overall and the amount of professionals around.
We're excited, but we're also pretty tired, so we can't like express that excitement properly.
But it's all there.
Sleep deprivation's fun.
I'm glad that I'm still here, but I'm still gunning for that #1 spot.
Well, it felt good, of course, but not actually won good. We've had our doubts, but if we're still on the fly, we're gonna do our best to keep flying.
How does it feel to have been the wild card and now you're in the next round?
Well, I have to say that's definitely awesome. We're all really happy about that. And especially since we also felt like the pressure after a lot of people really put their trust in us and the next step. It's really a very good feeling for us, I have to say.
How did your team feel about the feedback from the judges?
A bit overwhelmed. We felt proud, of course, naturally, but we also felt very burdened by how much trust we were given. Well, living up to that trust is our top priority.
We got some good feedback from both the judges and the community.
You think the judges were too hard on you?
No, of course not. On me, they were very gentle, let's say.
The critique actually turned out we felt very good in the end.
I thrive on feedback, so it's really exciting to get feedback from people that I respect so much.
They liked it more than we thought they would, so we were pretty excited about that.
How's your modeling and texturing phase coming along?
I haven't got into texturing yet, but I'm definitely into the modeling phase.
Right now, we're just modeling like crazy, trying to get all the pieces in because there's a ton of pieces.
Have you guys started on the modeling phase?
Well, of course we did, and we are doing our best to make it in time.
Texturing is a pain point because we are still changing exteriors. The 2D artist is currently working on specific elements of internal design.
We're just still plugging along, and we got some good stuff coming.
Yeah, I need to do a few prototyping things, especially for the texturing, before I actually start working on the final model.
We have a very good feeling about the modeling steps. I think we've come very far now.
I'm feeling pretty confident that I'll do well in the next stage. It's nice to have completely left the pencil and paper behind and to be working just in Maya now. It's really Maya and Photoshop are my comfort zone, the modeling and the texturing.
What did you think of the competing teams' work?
It was very varied. Like some of the teams that I've seen were really good, like better than I expected them to be. Like Shimapan, for example, did an excellent job.
There are some really good designs we've seen. So I can once again say that yes, we have every reason to respect our competition.
Which teams are you most in fear of at the minute, or do you think give you the most competition?
All.
I would say right now 4 Horsemen.
4 Horsemen.
Try and 4 Horsemen are really putting up a good game right now.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Troika could be pretty scary.
Troika is gonna come out of nowhere. I know. They're gonna be
pretty scary later.
You have to be a bit of fans of Troika, obviously.
I actually really like Talon, like Cryo, Skyguard as well. He's cool.
So it sounds like you guys are feeling pretty confident then.
Yeah, that's how we are.
All right, you got to be bold.
Yeah, I feel confident. I mean, our approaches are clearly different, and so I feel good about that.
Confidence should be shown through actions, not words. So I'll do my best to act instead of talk. Well, Team Troika will.
We are feeling pretty confident, but still, not overconfident.
Very confident, I have to say.
We feel pretty good about it. Don't want to be too cocky, but...
All right, well, we'll see you next time.
Yeah, awesome, thanks.
Thanks a lot for the show again, and see you in the verse.
All right, see you guys.
Later.
Late.
As the field continues to narrow, we thought the teams could use a little motivation and insight from our new community ambassador. Like you, he's a super fan, but he's also no stranger to winning.
Hey, my name is Dan Giesling, and I'm the new community ambassador for the Next Great Starship. I'm from Michigan, and I first gained a little notoriety from winning the reality TV show Big Brother. And I won $500,000, and just like playing a video game, Big Brother took strategy, reflexes, reading your enemies, and making the right decision at the critical time, just like you would when you play a video game. A lot of people go into a reality TV show and they're not focused on the game. And as a gamer, that's the only thing I focused on, was treating everyone like an enemy. So coming off reality TV, I had some opportunities. So now I'm a motivational speaker. I travel across the country to universities and colleges talking about leadership and motivation, and specifically how you can take action to put yourself in a better position for success. And I'm hoping that I can bring that experience and that background to help some of these teams competing in the Next Great Starship so they can push themselves a little bit further and really connect with the Star Citizen community. Chris Roberts has had a huge impact on my early childhood gaming days. I grew up playing Wing Commander, and playing that as a young kid, it wasn't just a video game. There's elements of story. It really captivated you, and also kind of helped me, develop what I looked for and expected for in video games thereafter. It was done like a movie production, and back in the early 90s, you didn't see anything like that. And so playing that as a kid, it definitely raised my expectations for video games, even to what I play right now. When I first learned about Star Citizen, I freaked out because we all know that Chris Roberts took a little bit of a hiatus from creating video games and PC games. And I can remember exactly where I was when I first saw the trailer and it said, "You thought I was dead?" And I'm like, Chris Roberts didn't die, did he? And I remember watching that trailer 8 times over, right away, just because the emotion that was invoked from that trailer. And not only that, but that the backing was going to come behind it. That if Chris Roberts is coming back out of pseudo retirement, if Chris Roberts is coming back from his hiatus, it's going to be something that you don't want to miss. Right in the middle of the trailer, I stopped everything and I just went and gave money. And I feel like a lot of people did that as well, because Star Citizen is something we've all been waiting for. And I didn't want to delay. I wanted to be one of the first to back the game, because chances are if you're one of the early backers, you'd get some cool rewards. But beyond that, it was just a way for me to thank Chris Roberts for everything that he's created up until this point. I know that Star Citizen is going to be around for a long time, but I'm hoping one day I can share with my kids like the same experience I had with Chris Roberts' early games. Being a mega fan, it is a complete honor to be selected to be the community ambassador for the Next Great Starship. I want to ask the questions that everyone wants to know that maybe I can get away with asking because I don't work directly for Chris Roberts. Just like you guys, I'm a huge fan of starships, and we recently just had a chance to check out the concept stages of the Mustang. Let's go take a look and see how far they've come. Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Dan, I'm the community ambassador from the Next Great Starship.
Dave Hobbins.
Nice to meet you, I know all about you. Chris, it's a pleasure. So the reason I'm here is I want to find out more about the Mustang and its development. So can you tell me a little bit more about what's changed in the Mustang since we last saw it?
Since the last episode, I've gone in, fleshed out the cockpit, the interior, and the EVA chamber. Allows pilots to get in and out on the underside of it. The other major changes are the addition of thrusters, which are absolutely mandatory. As well, I've added a large air brake to the rear of it when it's in an atmosphere of a planet.
Great, so those are some significant final changes. And then now that that's done, is the concept of the Mustang ready to be passed over to to Chris, and what's the next step for you?
Definitely. Chris Roberts has signed off on all of this, and so I pretty much just forward the concept imagery and my rough proxy geometry, which Chris Smith will use as a template, and I've just got that over to him.
Okay, and for you, once you're done with it and you sign off, is that the last you're going to deal with the Mustang? Once you pass over to Chris, is that it for you, or what happens for you?
Chris Smith is an accomplished modeler and a designer in his own right, but there are instances where there will be a significant change, and that may end up back in my lap, where I'll be focusing on a particular aspect or guiding the process a bit more. But generally, he's got it. I have complete faith, and yeah, can't wait to see what he comes up with.
Got it. So Chris, now the Mustang is passed over to you. Can you talk me through your process and what the first thing is you're going to do with Dave's concept?
I usually take a concept like that, since they're 3D, and do like a little, well, I probably re-topologize it. That means rebuild it.
Okay.
And get it ready for a game asset. And yeah, and then move on to texturing, and then we'll set it up and get it ready for the game.
Chris, thanks so much for showing me the Mustang. I know we're going to be seeing more of you working on it in the upcoming weeks. I really appreciate the time you guys have both taken with me. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Awesome.
Dave, pleasure meeting you as well. Thanks so much.
Take it easy.
This is a dream come true. To actually get to sit down and meet Chris Roberts is something I don't think my 10-year-old self playing Wing Commander would actually believe. Chris, thanks so much for bringing me on as the community ambassador for the Next Great Starship. It's a complete honor to be sitting here with you because I'm such a huge fan of your work.
You're welcome.
And I'm hoping with the questions I ask you is to gain some insight as a fan, but also for the teams to get a little bit of into your thought process, so maybe they can take things from this interview and integrate it into their ship design.
Absolutely.
All right, so my first question for you is, what is it like working for Chris Roberts?
Oh, very easy. It's all roses. I think that I can be tough on people because I just want to make a really good game. So occasionally that can be frustrating for people, but in general I think people, especially on the team that we have, everyone's making this game because they love this kind of game and they want to build this incredibly ambitious project. So I think, hopefully anyway, you can ask them, but generally they don't mind it because, you know, I'm really about trying to push the boundaries and, you know, like, okay, that's good, but is it good enough? Let's go further than that. So sometimes I'll make people do it again or redo stuff because I really want to see how far we can go. But I'm just as tough on myself the same way. So it's not about being the, you know, the person that can say, oh, you have to redo it. It's more about like, hey, we can do better, we can push it. So that aspect is probably, you know, challenging, let's put it that way. But I think, you know, everyone knows that I'm about making a game that I want to play and that I think everyone else here wants to play too. And so we just kind of geek out and get excited by like the really cool stuff we do. So, you know, if an artist has just done something, say, oh, come look at this. And we look, you know, and like, wow, that's awesome. And that's actually kind of the nice thing about the way that we're doing Star Citizen is that we actually are sharing those moments with the community, where in the past in game development, you didn't. You would like, so the team would sort of appreciate all the cool stuff that people were doing, but you know, the outside world didn't really understand it. And by the time it got to a finished game, all the little nuance and detail that it took to get there is sort of lost, and it's just the final game, which people could appreciate. But a lot of the work and love and effort that are put in by the team members don't necessarily get appreciated. And so in the process that we're making the game now, I think we get to share a lot more of that, which is really cool. And that's also part of the whole idea of the Next Great Starship, is to sort of show the process of, you know, designing and building a ship and everything it takes to do that, because it's especially at the level that we're going for, it's not a simple task. And so the quality of the you know, the people that we've got competing and all the work that they've done, all the teams, it's incredibly impressive. And I think it's a great education process for our community, and hopefully they'll also enjoy the show and get into it and pick their favorites.
This is a very open environment here at CIG, but for you, would you think that your employees think that you're a fun boss? And
I don't know. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, yeah, I don't find myself intimidating, but then that's just the way it works. So, you know, there are other people that say, well, you know, you can be a bit intimidating, Chris. I mean, I like games, so I like to play around and do that stuff, but I do tend to get pretty laser focused on like, okay, we got to get this thing done, and so I don't goof around maybe as much as I would if I wasn't trying to get this game done.
So speaking of having fun in games, do you ever play games with your employees?
Recently, not really, because we've been working so like focused and hard on getting the dogfight module going. When we're not crunching, it's kind of, I think it's fun for people to play. You certainly should be checking out games and just seeing what you like and what you don't like about them. And it's like I sort of feel like if you're in that medium, you sort of have to see what everyone else is doing to appreciate the what's going on out there and what other approaches people take. So.
Can you tell me the biggest or most intense fanboy or fangirl experience that you've had, like that someone came up to you? It could have been maybe an employee. Can you share with us that?
I think there was one time I was meant to marry someone, but I don't think that happened yet. I would say probably we did this event in last year in Cologne for Gamescom, and we did an event when we were launching the Hangar module. And so we put an event together which was for the backers, I think we found the biggest sort of kind of nightclub venue we could, it fit like 1,200 people or something. And so we put an RSVP up, and within a couple of hours we'd already it was all filled up, and there was a waiting list of another 1,000 or so people. And so that's always you don't think that's kind of unusual. And then we went to the venue to work on setting up the stuff, and there was already people lining up 8 hours before. It was just okay, this isn't what should happen for.
You're a rock star.
Yeah, that was the thing. So and then when the event happened, the stage and everyone was chanting, and it was the closest you could get to feeling what a rock star or musician must. Not on the same scale, but just going out there and everyone being so excited, which was cool. It's really cool, and it's just nice to know that everyone, or most people, enjoy what you do.
The company that Wing Commander came out under was Origin, and said, we create worlds. And that's what you're doing right now. You're creating another world. And I've heard you say that you're creating the game that you've always wanted to play. But I think there's something more to it than that. Why are you creating this world? Why do you want to do this?
Like you said, we create worlds. That was Origin's motto, and that was pretty much Richard Garrett, who's Lord British, and myself, when we were actually thinking about what the motto would be. That was sort of what we discussed, because both him and me just love to build worlds, and whether it's me doing games or when I did movies, it was the same thing. I like the escapism and world building aspect of entertainment in general, and movies can do that, but I think games are more are better situated for it, especially now, because the level of the technology, the power of the computers can just do it to a fidelity that you just couldn't imagine even 5 years ago. It is the game I want to play, but it's also just building this universe out to the level of detail with all the different bits working is like a dream come true. Because I couldn't. If I had $300 million and I was making whatever movie, I still couldn't do that, because movies are very sort of small windows on a world. Where this is building this huge sort of world and then letting people play inside it. So yeah, and for me, I finally feel like I'm getting to do it to the level that is exciting for me. So if the game ends up being 70% of what I hope it's going to be, then I think a lot of people will spend a lot of time in this world. That's my hope anyway.
What part of the world creation is the most fun for you personally?
It's on several levels. So for me, I really like the initial sketch where you sort of start to figure out kind of what the world will be like, and we've documented the process a bit, but the way I normally work on any of the worlds I work or stories I try and tell, I usually like to base them on some level of reality or history, just so they sort of feel like, for me, it makes sort of fiction feel better if it has some kind of root in reality. So just sort of figuring out how it's going to work, which is what David Haddock and I did, who's the lead writer on the project at the very beginning. This is back in sort of early 2012, middle of 2012. So I really like that. I really like the concept stage. So it's really fun to sort of have people go, okay, what are the Jean going to look like? What are the Vandal going to look like? Or let's visualize what this Terra is going to look like. And you start to see the world. Because pictures for me, you could have 100 pages, and if it's just text, it's much harder for me to relate. But when you start to visualize and you have pictures, that's where I really start to connect to it. And then when it's actually you've got the bits that are working in the game and you can actually feel and play around with it, that's cool too. So I would say the part that I probably don't like very much is the bit that goes from the concept to the bit that you're getting to play around with it. But you have to do it, that's what it takes. And so but there's just a lot of work involved in that. And it doesn't move as quickly as you would like.
And I know you put a lot of pressure on yourself to make sure this is the best it can be, but what do you put the most pressure on for yourself in this project? Like, what do you say, like, this has got to be right every single time? And where does that...
I mean, I think it's sort of the bigger picture things where, so like, the dogfight module. The dogfight module needs to, it needs to be fun. It needs to be good. I mean, like, we're releasing something that, like, for a lot of people to play, it's almost like a real live release, but it's a year and a half away from when you would normally be releasing it, right? So there's a lot of polish and iteration that you would normally in the old way do it kind of behind closed doors. So it's always a bit scary to have something released out there that you think potentially could be better, or this thing isn't done yet, or whatever. So that's the pressure, because I really try and push the team to get as much of that stuff done and polished as possible, even if we don't have all the functionality or all the content, because I sort of feel like, even though people know it's an alpha and everything else, it's hard to step away from that. I mean, in any, the game business has always been like this, the movie business is always like, there's always people that say, oh yeah, I know that it's a rough cut, and I know it hasn't got finished effects, or, yeah, I know that you haven't got finished graphics or whatever, and then they're like, doesn't look that good. And you're like, yeah, because we had that discussion.
Got it. So for you, kind of like you're letting your baby out there, and once it's out there.
Yeah, you want the hair combed and looking pretty and all the rest of the stuff.
Yeah. What does success look like for you on this project?
Well, for me, I think it would be success. I mean, first of all, I think if I feel like I've made the game that I wanted to get, that's one level of it. The other level is that we already have a vibrant community. I'd like a bigger one that we have right now. I think we will have one. And that they're as engaged and having as much fun playing the game and adventuring around as they're having right now waiting for the game. Right? So, because the community is incredibly focused and engaged, and they don't even have, they can go around the hangout, but that's not really like playing the game. So the question is, when the dream gets in their hands, is it a dream that matches up with their dream? And is it fun and engaging enough that they're going to carry on playing it with their friends for a long time? And so if I manage to do that, I will feel like it's been successful. So that's what I have to do.
When the game's done and you sit in and you have to take your inaugural flight in the open world, which ship are you choosing? You can only pick one.
Right now it would be the Constellation. It would be the ship. I mean, that's sort of the one that I want to fly around with. And that's we won't be in Dogfight V1, the multi-crewed ships, but we'll have a Dogfight V2, which will have the multi-crewed ships. And so I'm doing some actual coding to advance that state of stuff, because that's my dream, is like that, not just the standard sort of wing commander, privateer, sort of freelancer sit in a sort of single-seater ship, or a ship that just sort of seems to revolve around you. This is, like you get up and you walk down into the galley and, make yourself a cup of coffee or go down a cargo hold. I mean, it's like a moving ship in space that you and some of your friends can be flying, or you and some NPCs can be flying. So I would say of the current setup of ships, the Constellation is the one I'll be flying. You never know, maybe some new stuff come down, but that's the pick of the one currently. That's the one I want to fly.
Chris, thank you so much for sitting down with me. It's been an honor. I'm such a huge fan of all your work, and I'm such a huge fan of Star Citizen. I hope the community loves this interview, and I truly appreciate all the time you've taken.
No, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. So, had a good time. It was fun.
Thanks so much, Chris.
You're
It's my
welcome.
pleasure.
Absolutely, Dan.
It was really incredible to sit down and get to know Chris Roberts. What was more impressive, that for being such a legend in this industry, he's just a normal, humble guy, and that was really refreshing. My role as community ambassador is to help the remaining teams. I'm going to check in with them, keep them motivated, and give them any insight to help them win the next great starship, which essentially comes down to impressing you guys as the community.
Over the next few weeks, you will be hearing a lot more from Dan. But speaking of the community, your voices were heard when you voted for the save. Let's see which two teams you put back into the competition. All right, guys, the votes for the save are in. The top two teams are back in the competition. Congratulations to Talon Corp, who received the second most votes.
Hello Star Citizens, I just want to say a big thanks to everyone who's voted me back into the competition from the save mode. I have to say it was like a really overwhelming thing to see the feedback from all the supporters and backers and stuff like that, and just generally the community, which is awesome. Like the amount of interest in the design that I've done. on the forum that I put up was really cool and inspired me a lot to you know, carry on changing all the designs, and it was interesting to see the specific parts that people felt that they liked and felt that they didn't like as well, so that was really cool. I'd specifically like to shout out to Xjack and also Desiree, because those two guys, you know, they were there from the beginning and sort of spurred me on to create the forum in the first place, and bumped it up and got like loads of hits on it as well, so that was really cool. And yeah, you know, so thanks again for voting me back in. I'll see you in the verse. Talon Corporation signing out.
And now let's find out who got the most votes from you guys.
Hello.
Hello. Congratulations, 3 Dingo.
Why?
You are the team with the most saved votes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
All right, so how do you guys feel?
No, really was a very, very tense week. It was, we see the episode was the 5-hour episode where we was with the first concept. Yeah. For the truth, we don't like to disappoint people. We see the face of the judges. We see the community response. We returned with a better design for not to disappoint one.
I heard from the judges that you did a really good redesign of after the feedback.
Do the judges like it?
Yes, they did. They
Really?
liked it a lot. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, wait, you too.
How is it going now? How is the modeling and the texturing? Stage 2, how's it going?
Yeah, fine. Much fine. It's a good way because so many people for the community tell to me, okay, this is not good, we like this, so I have a better idea of all the ship, because when you work to your own work, you have not the total view of the problems and the error. But when some people tell to you, okay, this is wrong, this is an error, you know where to go to modify, to go to edit. So yeah, the community really helped we, and we really appreciate it.
So congratulations, we're so excited to see what you do in the modeling phase. And
okay, we want to prepare more serious, because much people tell we are just kids, a baby with the church on the so we can't do we are not going to do something like this, but yeah, we are really happy, and thank you community, thank you judges.
Ciao.
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 Redingo.
There are 12 teams left, but only one can win. And we'd love you to be there with us live in Los Angeles on June 7th. The first 25 people to tweet us at RobertSpaceIND with the hashtag TNGS free tickets will win tickets for 2 to our live finale. Tweet us now. We will have more free tickets to give away in the upcoming weeks, so keep watching. The Next Great Starship will return on Friday, April 18th. But until then, please check out our exclusive behind-the-scenes look at the upcoming dogfight, right here for the next 3 Fridays. See you soon.